book of Joshua, chapter 24 and verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. First and foremost, I want to give our honor, our glory, our praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, my bishops, my elders of Great Millstone. I want to give double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. Salutations to you brothers that are presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, through the four corners of the earth. And to you believers, to you I say shalom. This brother Bomber Lock out of Great Millstone Camp, Austin, coming at you with a quick lesson. And this lesson is inspired by, it was a video that Apostle Aram Lab and Elder Yashawamba was doing on the move. I guess they're traveling. And they were speaking on, which we often speak on prophecy. And the main prophecy that we speak on is what? The MOT to the B that's spoken of in the book of Revelation 13 and 16. So that's what they were speaking on. And that this lesson is inspired by them. Because coming into a time period, you're going to have to what? Draw the line in the sand. Who you going to serve? Are you going to serve the gods of the God of this world, which is Satan? And we know that Satan, and we know that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he's standing in as the physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. So you're going to have to choose who you're going to serve, because what they were speaking on was it's roughly almost about 9 billion people in the world, say 8 billion. We'll stay at 8 billion, roughly 8 billion people in the world today. And they were speaking of that, with this MOT to the B that's spoken of in the book of Revelation 13 and 16, that it's probably that all the inhabitants of the world are going to be divided up, by household, banking elites, which they probably each one probably get what, 1.5 billion people. When y'all take that MOT to the B, it's probably going to be a code on there or something saying that, oh, you belong, to the Rothschilds, you belong to the Rockefellers, you belong to the DuPonts, you belong to the Oppenheimers, which make perfect sense, because they look at, like chattel, as cattle. You Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the other heathen nations, as well as Esau, Edom. They look, the elite look at you all like cattle. And so they're going to divide the household by cattle. And it makes perfect sense, because what? They want to be the gods of the earth today. That's why I'm coming out of the book of Joshua, chapter 24 and verse 15. And we'll read it once again. It says, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh, because it's evil, for 2/3 of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. See, this, all of this is coming about. So the Lord Yahweh Shai, he's separating, the elect, from the non-elect, from those that are destined to die by nuclear destruction, thermonuclear destruction. And it says, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh, choose you this day whom you will serve. And we know that you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, when your fucking stomach start touching your back, y'all gonna quickly go jump in them chipping station lines. Y'all gonna jump in them chipping station lines real quick, because what? Y'all don't want to trust in the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Just as the elder and the apostle said, they were like, yo, even when we were coming through the Red Sea, man, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, he fed us with manna. He fed us. No other God, no other power fed us but Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. But y'all Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, y'all gonna turn to Esau Edom. Y'all gonna turn to him to be y'all God. It said, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose lands ye dwell. But as far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. See, when we was on the other side of the flood, we served what? Sun gods, Baal. We was we was deep into idolatry. But see, this time, because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai raised the prophets back up, and he's manifested the name of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai back in the earth, that's who you should be serving. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But that's all right. But the elect, they're hearing this message. The elect are coming to repentance. And the elect, are calling on the names of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, so that they can save themselves and possibly their household in these last days, man. So let's continue reading. We're going to go to the book of, matter of fact, let's get here. We're going to go to the book of Exodus. It's not going to be a long lecture. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1. It said, and power Yahweh spake all these words, saying, he said, I am the Lord. He was speaking to Moses. He gave him the stones, the commandments. Verse 2, it said, I am the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shaddai power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, out of the house of bondage. So the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, he brought us out of the house of bondage. But we know through our iniquity that he sent us into this bondage to Egypt again, which is America. And when we say Egypt, it's in the slave trade, Deuteronomy 28:68, we often speaking of Egypt, often synonymous with the land of captivity, in which we're in captivity here in Babylon the Great. So when we say Egypt, anywhere you see Egypt, when it's speaking of Egypt, it's talking about the land in which our forefathers went in captivity, and now we're back in the second captivity, which is the Roman Empire all over again. It says, verse 2, it says, I am the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shaddai power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So you don't supposed to have no other gods before the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah. So when Esau, Edom bring about that MOT to the beat, is spoken of in the book of Revelation 13 and 16, y'all going to be making a elite banking family, y'all God. Because y'all going to bow down to them. Y'all going to allow them to give y'all that they're going to prick y'all with that charagma, that MOT to the beat. And y'all going to be what? Y'all are saying that, hey, you are my God, the Rothschild. You are my God, the Rockefeller. You are my God, the Oppenheimers. So y'all going to be making, man your God. Verse 3 again, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. Verse 5, and it says, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. You shouldn't bow down yourself to them. And that's when they give y'all that MOT to the B, you're going to be bowing down yourself, to Esau, Edom, the so-called self-professed white man, who is really the spiritual. He is the physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. So y'all bowing down yourselves, to the elite banking families. It said, nor serve them. See, we don't even supposed to serve them. For I, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, thy power, am a jealous power. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is a jealous power. But he knew from the beginning who was going to serve him and who was not going to serve him. He put everyone in a perfect lot, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me. And when you bow down yourselves and you take this digital charagma that Esau Edom is bringing about, you showing that you hate the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and you think that a man can do a better job than the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai can. See, you should be in this. We should all, brothers often put up these lessons saying, hey, man, we need to start putting yourself in the spirit, being pilgrims in the earth right now. We need to be putting your mindset that you're going to be in a pilgrim of the earth, meaning your house, your car, anything that you deem or think that's valuable to you. You need to just start getting yourself prepared to be like, to lose everything, because we don't own nothing here. They said even in the World Economic Forum, they said my man Charles Schwab said that you own nothing to be happy. See, they already preparing the minds of you inhabitants of the earth to understand that you're gonna own nothing to be happy. Because they bringing you into a time period of technocracy, and they spoke on that as well. A time period of technocracy where everything is going to be read by technology. They're going to bring about the uniform basic income. They're going to bring about your social credit score, and your allotted Slovakia. Yeah, pretty much that digital footprint, man. Where, everywhere you go, you're gonna leave a footprint saying, hey man, you had too much meat this month. Oh, you had you walked in excess of too many miles this week. So Esau Edom, he wants total control. That's why they're bringing about this MOT to the beat spoken of in the book of Revelation 13. He wants total control, of you inhabitants of the earth. Most importantly, he wants total control of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, because they know that you are the biblical Israelites. So we don't even supposed to serve these other gods. We're supposed to serve one power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, man. So let's go. And again, you should be in that mindset that you don't own anything. We're pilgrims in the earth, and we dependent on the Most High Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah to be our provider, in this time period that is coming. But most importantly, we ought to be in the mind frame of Moses. Matter of fact, let's get that. Let's go to Bookie. I got that in Hebrews. The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and we'll start at verse 24. It says, by faith, Moses, when he come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Matter of fact, I want to get some words, look up a couple of words. We're going to look at faith and come to years. Let's look up this in the blue letter. Matter of fact, let me do it like this. Nope, it's lock you for that. We'll go right here. Let's go to New Testament. Let's look up this word. I don't know why I got this highlighted green. Let's look up this word. We're going to look up faith. Strong's G 4102.
Strong's G 4102. Pistis.
And we're going to stay right here on this one. It said the outline of biblical usage, a conviction or truth of anything, a belief. So that's that belief that, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah is the God of the Bible, and that we Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, we are the biblical Israelites. But, this is Moses by faith, conviction of a truth of anything. It says what? In the New Testament, of a conviction or belief respecting man's relationship with power and the divine things generally, which include ideals of trust, of holy faith, fervor, born of faith and joined with it. Relating to what? Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. So that's by faith. The character one, and it goes down here, a character of one who can be relied on. So he relied totally on the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, man. So when he was calm.
Strong's G 1096. Genomai.
So let's go back. Let's go back and look up. It says, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, now we're gonna go back and look up this word. When he was come.
Strong's G 1096. Genomai.
The outline of biblical usage, we'll probably stick right there. It says what? To become, to come into existence, began to be. When he began to be what? You know what? Moses, his name is what? The lawgiver. When he was began to be, come to pass what happened, arise, appear in history, or come upon the stage. When he was what? Coming into his own. We use this as, just mere American, like, yo, man, he about to come into his own right now. He about to be something great. When we talk, you might be talking about sports or something like that. But Moses, when he was what? When he was getting ready to arise, appear in history, come upon the stage. When he was getting ready to come upon that big stage to go what? To talk to Pharaoh. Talking about when he said, let my people go. The Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah told Moses to go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. You Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Of miracles to be performed. And he was what? Getting ready to perform miracles, man, because the Lord was going to do a mighty work through Moses. So again, Hebrews 11 and 24, by faith, Moses, when he come to years, when he was getting ready to come into his power, when he was getting ready to come, being our lawgiver, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Verse 25, but choosing rather, this is the beautiful point here, but choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of power Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. And that's the point that we're going ready to make too. That you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, when y'all take that MOT to the beat, y'all are choosing to enjoy y'all are choosing to enjoy the pleasures of sin, for a season. And let's look up this word season, man. And it should say a short time.
Strong's G 4340. Praskairos. Praskairos.
And we go down to the outline of biblical usage. It said for a season, enduring only for a while, temporarily, because we know as soon as they implement that MOT to the beat, and when we say what 2/3 of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans and the other inhabitants of the earth take it, that's when the end is coming. That's gonna be what a temporarily thing for a while, and that while might be an hour. That hour y'all might enjoy, and y'all might enjoy that temporary feeling of relief for an hour. And then the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to rain thermonuclear destruction upon America, Babylon the Great. So if you know that the end game is that if you take it, you die. If you don't take it, you die. You might as well stand on the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and pray that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to preserve you and your family and your household. But we know if you take it, that you definitely is you're going to get destroyed. So it shouldn't be a hard decision. It shouldn't be a hard decision. It should be like, okay, well, I'm gonna stand with the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. As Joshua 24:15 said. He said, but as for me and my house, matter of fact, I ain't paraphrasing it. Let's go back to it, man. Shit. I'm gonna paraphrase something I got already written that on a card. Joshua 24:15, but it seemed evil unto you to serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your father served that were on the other side of the floods, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye now dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man, because he's getting ready to show us some miracles, and most importantly, matter of fact, we're gonna close it out right here, because for the hopeful elect and the hopeful 1/3, let's go to the book of St. Luke. Let's go to the book of St. Luke, the 12th chapter. The book of St. Luke, chapter 12 and verse 32. It says, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is getting ready to give us the kingdom. Let's look up this word before we close out. Let's go to St. Luke in the blue letter, seeing as though I got this out. Let's look up this word kingdom in St. Luke 12 and 32. And it said little flock. The beautiful thing, it said little flock, because again, of the roughly 8 billion people on the earth, each one of those, the banking elites, they're going to get at least a billion and a half of you inhabitants of the earth. Let's look up this word kingdom, though. Strong's G 932.
Strong's G 932. Basileia. Basileia.
Basileia. It says outline of biblical use, royal power, kingship, dominion, the rule. See, we're getting ready to get royal power, getting ready to get kingship, dominion, and rule. Let's continue reading what it says. Not to be confused with an actual kingdom. That's book. Not to be confused. See, Esau, again, you chew the meat and you spit out the bones. We getting ready to come to we're a royal people. So a royal people also going to have a royal power, kingship, dominion, and rule. We getting ready to rule the heaven and earth, man. As in heaven, as in earth, as in heaven. So we're getting ready to come into a royal power, kingship, dominion. It said, the kingdom, says right here, it said, a kingdom territory is subject to the rule of a king. Amashah, Yahweh, King David, the 12, the 144,000. Just as Esau, Edom, them kingship, they kingdoms have different leaders. You got the president, you got your senators and your congressmen. Kingdom of the heaven, the kingdom of heaven gonna have the same rulership. It's gonna be the Israelites and more Israelites, and all the other nations gonna go back to their own lands. But what? They're gonna be vassals to us, man. We're gonna be able to go into their lands, make sure things are ran the right way. Everything, the same thing which Babylon the Great does to these other nations today. They go into the other lands and they rule them, and they rule over them other lands. So it's nothing different, man. There's nothing new under the sun. So I pray this lesson has been edifying. I want to give all honor, all glory, all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Rekah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, my bishops, my elders, a great millstone. Double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. Salutations to you brothers that present your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, through the four corners of the earth. Shalom.